In my previous life, my husband's female coworker had asked him to drive her to and from work. I wasn't happy about that, but my husband dismissed my concerns, saying, "We live in the same neighborhood, so it's not like I'm going out of my way. Don't be so selfish." 6 months later, she became pregnant and tragically miscarried in our car. The doctor was baffled, saying, "How could she have intercourse in the early stages of pregnancy?" Intercourse? I was confused as her husband was overseas on a business trip. Before I could fully process the situation, both my husband and his female coworker pointed their fingers at me and claimed that I was the driver during the incident. Because of that, when her husband rushed back from abroad, he stabbed me over 20 times in a fit of rage. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day before he first gave her a ride. I opened my eyes to find a shiny knife before me, sending me tumbling back onto the couch in fear. "What's wrong, Lily? Do you want an apple?" my husband Xavier Henderson asked. My heart raced. Wasn't I dead? Because I kept quiet, Xavier moved closer, still holding the knife. He said, "There's a new coworker who lives in our neighborhood." I slapped the knife away and frantically inspected my body. And then realization dawned. I had been reborn. I turned my attention back to the scumbag. Furious, I grabbed a glass of water from the table and splashed it in his face. "Lily, are you out of your mind?" he shouted, startled. Suppressing my anger, I said flatly, "I had a nightmare. I wanted to see if I was really awake." I knew he was about to bring up his coworker, Sandra Lee, wanting a ride. I said no in my previous life. I bought the car before our marriage, so it was registered in my name. If something were to happen while she was in the car, there would be a lot of problems. I didn't want those problems. As a result, Xavier and I got into a fight. "You're a teacher, Lily. How can you be so selfish?" Eventually, things went horribly wrong. Sandra got pregnant and miscarried in my car. The doctor said it was due to her having intercourse in the early stages of pregnancy. However, her husband was overseas on a business trip. It was clear Xavier had cheated on me. He and Sandra later claimed that I was the driver. When Sandra's husband, Dustin Lee, returned, he stabbed me over 20 times without giving me a chance to explain. In my final moments, I reached for Xavier and grabbed his shirt, but he pushed my hand away in disgust, saying, "Since she caused the death of your baby, she deserves it. An eye for an eye, a life for a life." I would never forget that betrayal, that despicable look on his face. I could still feel the pain in my body. I refused to make the same mistakes again. As Xavier started to speak again, I interjected, "What's that? Your new coworker lives nearby? That's great. You can commute to work together." "I was just about to discuss that with you," he said, eyes wide with excitement. "You know we always have to work overtime at the company. She's a woman, so it's dangerous for her to take public transport alone at night. Her husband is often away, so as her senior at the company, I should give her a ride." I replied with a smirk. "Why don't you stay at her place to take care of her too while her husband is away?" Xavier chuckled. "What are you talking about? I'm not that kind of person." He reached for me, but I stepped back, repulsed by the man whom I had dated for 5 years and married for 2. "Are you jealous?" he asked, frowning. "Hey, even though I'm a fine and good-looking man, I assure you, my heart belongs only to you." I stared at him expressionlessly. After a moment, I replied flatly, "Okay." In my previous life, Xavier's betrayal had led to my tragic end. This time, I would not make the same mistakes. Rather than getting into a fight with him again, I decided to let him have his way for now. I would make both him and Sandra pay later. The next morning, I waited downstairs early. When Xavier walked over with Sandra, he was startled to see me. He quickly handed the coffee in his hand back to her. "Lily, what are you doing here? Why haven't you left for work?" I replied with a smile. "Don't you know my school is near your company? Or have you never thought about giving me a ride too?" Xavier opened his mouth but couldn't find the words. Sandra's smiling